Good evening, Nevermorians. Wow. Hi, folks. It's Nick Tockert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. Um, Pardon my slightly late arrival, and let me know if it sounds like there's a helicopter dusting off in my room. I'll do something about it. Sweating. Basically, even with the air conditioner running because of the extreme heat right now, it is 85 in the more comfortable parts of the house and nearly 100 in here, which was greatly affecting my computer. So, if there's any problem with that, let me know. I'm going to double check that I'm actually recording from the right audio. Today's been a day. Yep, every time. Alrighty, that should be a bit better. And we are joined this evening, by Joe Bachman. Hi, you know what? I need to fix something right now. We're having a day, and I know what's wrong. And that's not it. Boom. All righty. Seeing myself framed in like that put me right in never mind the furthermore mindset. So everything seems to be live. We seem to be good. Joe's here. Thesis is in the house. Hi, guys. I hope everybody's having a good Friday. We have some announcements. Before we do, let's pay the bills. In the short of, remember, the Historical Fencing Guild is brought to you by the Simple Sword and the Fighting Axe, both available through Amazon. Sydney kept, good morning, folks in the Philippines. Yeah, it is something else. Guys, we've been kind of scrambling for what you don't know, and I'm going to just get right into it. It's glorious. Please like, share, and subscribe. We're going to get into stuff. First and foremost, update with yours truly. We had agreed because our wonderful friend Joe Bachman told us about Shakespeare in the Park and how it was going to be, August 13th. And, it was great. We were all set up to prep and do the show, and I had spaced out everything I needed to get ready. And we found out that there was an error with miscommunications, not Joe's fault, but with with someone he works with. And we found out that the show is this Sunday. At, I believe, Twin Oaks Park in New Chicago. We will be showing up to do, to entertain the crowd a little bit before the Gary Shakespeare Company can do Julius Caesar at Two Brute and Company. So we were all geared out that, 100 degrees sauna stream. Guys, I am a chunky monkey, and I am just sweating to the oldies over here, and it's great seeing you some person. So you probably hear the distant rumble of additional fans. Well, Thesis, any sort of stream I'm on is hot, but it is literally about 100 degrees in here. Although with the extra fan and the door open, it's starting to vent out a little bit. I desperately need to get my windows replaced when I remodel the house and property. And it's going to be a challenge, so we have to figure some stuff out. But while we're trying to figure all that out, we have that show coming up Sunday. So instead of my usual prep and stuff, we've been reassigning and finding gear. And I had a rather unpleasant wardrobe malfunction in that the athletic supporter that kept my cup in place ceased to function. And apparently, most of the online retailers don't believe that larger sized people need to wear protection. So I had to do a lot of digging, and fortunately, my replacement came in. But my beloved wife was working on doing some new costuming for the event because I want to look good while both being semi-safe and not dying of heat. And we had planned to spend the week working on things, and we had a lot of time, and now it's push time, and the sewing machine died. So tomorrow I will be going out and buying a brand new sewing machine with the money I earned for the program that I did for the library in June. Yes, folks, it's just been a run. But I will try to give you guys an hour of solid edutainment while we talk about what's going on. In the other news, I've run colored tape over the edge of all my black polypropylene weapons to make them more visible. So it will look a little funny, and certainly up close. No, Cindy Cat, bless her heart, says, don't forget to tip your host. And if you care to take a dare and share some money with me, you can do that at paypal.me/Nicholas Tockert. It should have a picture of me. Thank you. But we're going to be doing that and providing edutainment and shenanigans and some sparring for the good folks of New Chicago. It just means I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to get everything prepped to be able to do so. I don't know. That kind of threw me for a loop, but we're getting through it. Now, let's talk some more good stuff. I did get a question recently, and somebody asked me why I don't say that this is just a HEMA group or an ARMA group or merge with a larger group like the SCA or any of the amp guards. It has a picture, but don't let it deter you from giving. Thank you, Ogre. I appreciate it. It's great hearing from you. We haven't heard from you in a while. So please tell me what you guys are up to martial arts wise while we go on through this. It has been an absolute run. And I'm getting notices that apparently I am streaming. Thank you, computer. Boom. Alrighty, that's done. Well, Joe, you already give me the whole thing, so I appreciate every inch you give. But so yes, there is a lot coming down the pipe. I have been knuckling down on the simple spear, and it is progressing nicely. Remember, my Patreon folks have access to the link to check on, and they should be able to comment on the simple spear any questions or requests they have. I'm going to keep doing that as I do guild-based books. Do I still have the Zon wish list? I honestly don't know. I need to double check if I have the Zon wish list, because we've had such upturn in what we do and how we do things. Wonderful, Joe. Joe says he's going to try to get the video of the bouts. I really appreciate it. Link, where? I'll have to get that to you a little later. If I go to another screen at this temperature, my computer will crash. So, like I said, everything is being kind of duct taped along. But I will definitely send you any links or information you want to be helpful. We've gotten a lot of gear. I need to look into some new armor pieces and some tools, but we'll get there. Thank you, Cindy. You're amazing. Olga says, I missed all the Nevermind the Furthermore streams. Sorry. No worries. I do that literally every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at at 10 a.m. And I do Nerd Bacon with Luke Stone over at LukeStoneStudios.com. Now exclusively, on YouTube, Luke Stone Studios, the YouTube channel, at 9 a.m., starting at 9 a.m. on Thursdays. So yes, I broadcast 4 days a week, 5 times a week. without any specials or guest appearances. And speaking of guest appearances on Nevermind the Furthermore, we had Bonsert Bokel. And Bonsert Bokel is basically a authority on steampunk, and he runs the Association of Ishtar, which is a wonderful writing group. And they do a program much like the society, the SCP Foundation, for those of you who know. And he's publishing some things, including a coloring book. Why that matters for this channel, though, is he's also a former reenactor, and we had a long conversation about Dutch Spear, and some of that may find its way into my book. I'm really looking forward to that. So there's good stuff, and I'm going to have more stuff. I try not to overly cross the streams, but some days I come on and I have to switch all the settings from how I run the Nevermind the Furthermore stream to how I run the Historical Fencing Guild stream. And every once in a while, my mental gear gets stuck halfway through. I feel myself reaching for the fez. But no, that means I'm going to get to practice. I was hoping for another week of build up to get used to the rapiers, and I had thought about attempting to modify them to be a touch easier to grip, because the company that makes them is very fond of a belly swell, and my hands aren't really up for that. So I'm working. You know me. I modify all my gear. Wednesday's show was great. Wish I could have stuck around for today's show. Was busy dodging traffic today. I heard you stay safe out there, Joe. You know, or as anybody who's seen the end of Nerd Bacon, you be careful out there. But yeah, you're too good a person. And as I said in Ghostbusters, don't cross the streams. And now I want s'mores. Dang it, Joe. Yeah, one sec, folks. Speaking of crossing the streams, I'm going to cross the streams a little bit because I was excited about something I really did not expect. Longtime viewers and, of course, people who know me personally know I love bushcraft. I love camping and primitive survival, settler survival, kind of pioneer era technologies fascinate me, and before. Because I like to understand the tool aspects. Never carry anything for one reason. I carry a knife. This is a tool. This can easily become a spearhead if I need it to. This is a very, very useful implement. An axe, even a little dorky guy like this, can do wonders for your situation. And I researched that, and my son and I love to watch Primitive Technologies. It's a channel on YouTube. Now, Nick, Primitive Technologies, you guys have heard of it because the guy's been ripped off a lot of times. He's the guy who goes out, doesn't say anything, but he makes amazing Stone Age technologies out of mud and sticks and whatever he can find. Builds huts and houses and kilns and all this. One, if you ever watch that channel, turn on the closed captioning, because he actually describes what's going on in the closed captioning, because he doesn't speak while he does it. It keeps it internationally acceptable. But I want to say today or yesterday, I got to see it today while I was tending to some other matters. He built a trebuchet. He built a caveman era bushcraft trebuchet. And is it practical? Of course not. Is it delightful? Yes. So, as there's overlap, and that is definitely in my bailiwick, guys, you may want to watch that. Now, getting back to what I was saying before I got all the way distracted. People who are on the Historical Fencing Guild Facebook group, which I hope you all join. If you watch this, please join the Historical Fencing Guild's Facebook group. Yes, Ewok Tech. Yes. When I was much younger and far more active, I read that somebody who is in a plane crash or a boat crash, or their car breaks down in the extreme wilderness, has a 100% better chance of survival. It literally doubles their odds if they have a knife from the research. And I realize that that is probably skewed because the kind of person who carries a knife usually has some concept of what it's for. So not only is the tool much better, but the ability to apply it in assorted useful ways. Well, since then, I've always carried a knife. And I mean, always. I am incredibly uncomfortable anywhere I don't have a knife. Not for anything criminal or hinky, but just because I see it as cutting my survival chances baseline in half. So, Joe Bachman says, I think I need to find a trebuchet for the pre-show on Sunday. You know, if we had had the week, we probably could pull it off. Pulling a trebuchet out of thin air, even for me, on roughly a day's workable notice, because I have to do other things on Sunday, even canceling my Saturday trip. And for the people who know what this term is, Saturday was supposed to be my Swordmaster's holiday. But gas prices being what they are and needing prep, it will not be. So we will figure out some other way to spare my sanity, at least for the year. But that's okay. I'm only harping because I can. Pulling out, it's not undoable. It just would be dicey, especially with my budget. Budget dominates everything. If I had money, I could pull a trebuchet out of nowhere. But we'll have to see, because siege engineering is great, but again, how do you do it without like getting in trouble? I haven't been to the site before. Oh, I'm breaking all my rules to have fun with this one. But you know what? If I can't sword fight at 90 degrees, what's the point of being who I am? And rest assured that both Joe and Trelena will be drafted, likely to keep the show going, so that I don't collapse from heat exhaustion. And preparations along that line are in the works, because just because it's been a while since I've done it doesn't mean I don't know both how to do it and how to put on a show. We're still a little dubious on just how long it's going to go and if there's going to be secondaries, but I'll plan for excess and we'll work from there. Because I still have to decide what implements we're bringing and what would work best. Amanda and I had a bit of a surprise that could be very nice for us and Trelena and Joe. Although I don't know how much Joe's played with them, so we'll see. You'll find out Sunday. And for the people wondering, I've been watching the weather report, and it's going to be between 90 and 80 degrees with between 50 and 60% chance of thunderstorm, as if the weather people have no clue what's going on. Water balloon trebuchets at 1,000 paces. Okay, if I had access to a 3,000 foot area, I could, plus, because you need some padding there, that we could do trebuchets. I think that would be fun. Oh, siege engineering, you are whispering your sweet song of interest to me again. Foxy says hi.
Hi, Foxy. How you doing?
And but you know what? If not then, soon. I also have to decide what's going to happen for my actual birthday at the end of the month. I used to have a Halloween party, but with the pandemic and moving 100 miles and stuff, my whole social network has become very different than it used to be. Although we may have one of our own, Richie Asplin. Joe, please send Richie the information to the for the actual location and times and everything for the event. Earlier this week, I got the necessary parts to make my JVC PVC. Congratulations. My dyslexia pulled all off that and tried to say it was a JVC peon. A PVC gin. Scaver. Cool. If you don't mind, if possible, record a video on how you did it. And I'll review it here because I think folks would love to. I live. Physical therapy was interesting this morning. Oh, go. Yeah, physical therapists are the most loving masochists on the sadists on the face of the earth. But shout out to Dave, my occupational therapist, who's the reason largely I don't have to wear the big honking braces, except when I have to armor up to go to bed. 90 degrees always says water sports for me. I agree wholeheartedly. The problem is I went from surrounded by multiple places I could fish and swim and immerse myself like the semi-aquatic mammal that I am to cornfields. There are irrigation canals and things, but there's no access because there are no county parks where one can get near it. And I would have to go into a nearby town in a chlorinated pool full of human soup. And I'm not really sure. I think I'd rather take my chances where the fish can live than where the fish would die rapidly if immersed. That might be thing. Will do. Thank you, Joe. And Ogre's greeting everybody. Foxy saying, hey, Silver. Evening, Ogre. Everybody's happy to see each other. I am up to 40 pounds on hamstring curls and the upper body rowing and pressing. Wonderful. Go you. My current exercise thing has been doing weight work with this 3-pound sledge, which since it's not about the muscles for me, it's the nerves. What I can do is very delicate, and doing extensive drilling with the different rapiers. I don't know if I'm comfortable to handle my Schlager rapier, but I am I'm to the point where I feel confident doing a show. Well, mostly confident. Imposter syndrome, I've been teaching people to sword fight for 20 years. I still have imposter syndrome. To spar and entertain and just keep the guests going. But irrigation ditches would be a good place to find copperheads. You're probably not wrong, though there aren't a lot of snakes out here that I've seen. There are a lot of there's some bluegill nests, and occasionally we get the herons and the sandhill cranes that look like Mothman. Physical therapy guy says, I have lots of muscle. You're a strong lady, and I'm here for it, friends. I like seeing the strong ladies doing what you do. And yeah, so what else is up? The Simple Spirit, guys, it really is coming along. And I know I've been saying it. My goal is to have it published by my birthday, by the end of the month, because that's a gift to me. Because that will free me in the fall to just blaze through a bunch of other things. I want to do some work with big stompy robots. I have all sorts of different things. Luke Stone wants me to fire off 2 or 3 comic book projects. And I'm advising some people on game suggestions. I'm not building it for them because they're not paying me to. But, I'm a good guy to give advice, and I may be doing some paid game design. Lots coming down the line. They kind of make up for the tendons and all that. I get that. I do 60-pound with hamstring curls and chest presses, 200 pounds on leg presses. That is wonderful. Cindy says, if you need an editor, I can do that sort of thing. I may reach out to you on that one because I haven't worked with an editor very much at all. And I know bare minimum, I know I need a proofreader at some point, but The simple sword, the simple spear will be one I want to get out because of date. Even if it's not perfect, I may have to do a later edition. Not like I'm not planning to in the near future, because I'm really thinking I may revisit the simple sword and expand on the difference 10 or 15 years. No, it was 15, so it's been 5 years since I put that together. Has it only been 5 years? Might be longer. I need to look at the publish date. Time has a way of getting away from me. But I want to do an update, and I have a big project coming. So, God, one of these days I'll show you guys my entire work in progress list that's listed, not counting all the documents that aren't on the list that I've started, and you'll understand why I always seem a little frazzled. But once I get the heat fixed in here, either naturally or artificially, I'll be able to redo this computer, set up the other computer, because frankly, I don't want to overheat the other computer while I'm figuring all this out. 5 years, good Bowie song. Most Bowie songs are good, but and that will do. What happened is I didn't know how hot it was getting in here till I got a fancy indoor outdoor thermometer rig, and I found out, oh my gosh, it is really really hot, and that would probably explain why I've had so many computer problems and things. Computers do not like heat. Yes. Speaking of songs, I found a really fun band called Poor Man's Poison. If you like folk, a little bit of bluegrass sounding music, it's pretty cool. So that's something to look into. Now, I know I've been way off topic, but today has been just a rough sort of day. So we're getting by. I do. My plan this week, actually, my plan this weekend was, in part, to do a video on gorgets and other basic leather making. If that is something that there is interest in, it's not going to be advanced or pretty, but it will be how to make maybe bracers, gorgets, simple leather goods, because I do have some leather left. Um, I think there might be a Tandy's in Lafayette. I need to find that out. I need to write a note to myself in my brain here and do that. But I would like to get back into leather work. That's a very fall and winter projecting. But you plan what you're doing in the fall and winter in the summer. Alrighty. But that's going on. Now, getting all the way back to my original comment that I lost, I saw a delightful video on, it was taken from some movie. I don't know what movie. Oh, which Lafayette? That's a good question. It would either be West Lafayette or Lafayette in Indiana, home of Purdue University. That is basically the closest major city to me. I could go a bit farther and get into like Chicago if I went north, but that becomes the suburbs of Chicago, and it gets all kinds of hinky. So that would be the Lafayette I'm by, and I thought they do because they have a very large reenactor community that do fur trapper era, because Fort Ouiatenon is down here, and they host Feast of the Hunter's Moon, which is a big recreation. They do demos. They have people showing period rope making and making treadle lathes and other delightful things that if my hands ever start working properly again, I would love to get into and back into in some cases. But, oh yes, guys, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to all this, because I'm trying to fight the good fight. against the algorithm that thinks I'm a dangerous Second Amendment group because I talk about swords. Hence the reason, if you pay attention to my feed down here, there is a disclaimer basically saying, guys, martial arts are dangerous. If you do it, you can get hurt. Don't hold me accountable. Oh, your mom's a Hoosier? That's delightful. I grew up in Indiana. I'm not originally from here. I'm originally from Oregon. And but like preschool age. I spent almost all my formative years in Northwest Indiana, and I am now in West Central Indiana. Not, about and between 45 minutes and an hour from Lafayette, depending on where you want to be in the West Lafayette area, just to give you a ballpark. So that's cool. It's ironic that my partner Luke Stone is in Jacksonville, Florida, but he's originally from Kokomo, Indiana. So it's funny how Hoosier raised folks, it's like we could smell the corn on each other or something. I don't know. But anyway, again, trying to get back to the same thing I've gotten back with. I'm just scattered tonight. I saw a lovely video where they showed a type of some type of African stick fighting. NGING, I believe was the spelling. I'd have to double check. But the position is one of the sticks is roughly, I'd almost say katana length with grip and hold, okay? And the other is staff length. It was a very different style because you don't see a lot of one-handed staff length presented stick styles. Now, you see that in the SCA quite a bit as a rigid parry device where it's walking stick and sword, which I imagine that's got to be similar to what the intention of this style is. But it was fascinating to see. Now, granted, I only saw it in one movie, and I did see comments of it referenced, and I love finding things like that because then I can deep dive it later. And I would like, what's this? I'm told tribalspiritleather.com is a good place to get leather, but I don't know what that is or but that's what I hear. Well, then I will look up Tribal Spirit Leather.com, and it's going in my current brain. Love these little notebooks. And we will see what their pricing is to get heavy ounce leather. I also have other leather I have to repair. Question. Oh, Gandalf style. Yes, exactly. And I find that fascinating because I haven't seen that documented. And one thing I've noticed is there are huge swaths of styles that are not documented or not publicly translated to English that I find interest in, because frankly, and it's a little telling and perhaps a little tragic. But many cultures that and ethnicities that are poorer have smaller stature. And being of someone of a relative smaller stature, I'm between 5'6" and 5'8", depending on shoes and how my back pops. It carries over to me fighting larger people much better than some of the larger people-oriented styles, like many of the longsword styles. A lot of them just don't fit me well. Now, Gigante did practice not Sparta, but longsword enough that he was depicted with one in a military setting. I don't know if he if he taught it or not. I haven't found a good Gigante manual on two-handed sword, but I'd love to see it because I like the way he fights and speaks on things. I have found tremendously that being able to fight two-handed, two separate-handed, has really fed into my ability to do certain dual wielding versus two-handed styles. So when you realize the body mechanics for a spear, let me get a little bit of distance. Okay. Do I have a problem? Yes, baby. What is this? Oh, this is the shoot, put that back. If I never have that painting show up again on screen. Okay. My size. That's fine. We can drop the business end. We're not worrying about the business end. I need that down here so I have access to it. And I'm going to use the orange beat up parry dagger that needs to go out so I don't forget it. Okay. Quick review. This is offensive stance, right? The metal is between the meat. Boom, boom, right? My elbow should be tucked, but I was having a little. So, that fell over. Offensive stance. Defensive stance. A thrust from offensive stance, a thrust from defensive stance. Now, if I were to put a second weapon in my hand, don't I have a second weapon? I've been so good about keeping myself cleaned up over here that I am actually running low on demonstratable trainers. That's annoying. Oh, wait. Not really. Boom. Okay, so thrust from that, right? Thrust from that. A spear thrust is the same basic motion as this and that. So they all fit together. They all flow very nicely, much like these two do. And that's what I look for when I decide what goes into the Historical Fencing Guild's Manual of Defense. I want a synergy of motion so that, okay, take a hammer strike. Wham. I hit with a hammer. That is exactly the same way I would hit with a concussive sword, right? Which, if I'm cutting, boom, hit, set, and slash, I change it a little bit, but that's how I'd make a lighter, pokier sword go. Looking for that feeds real well into the spear, where nice long weapon, boom. It's the same motion. That way, you've taught your gross body motions, your big motions, so that again, hit with a hammer, hit with an axe, hit with a knife, hit with a chunk of wood. The same body mechanics. So it all carries over and builds on itself so that as you study one style, you're reaffirming the previous styles you've learned, and it's building you up to the next style. And that's what I'm all about doing. We want a cohesive body language, because there are a lot of styles I could teach. Like you look at Meyer, and you've got the helicopter whirlwind cuts up here. A lot of his system can do that, but it doesn't work well with the way my body moves. So I don't usually go there. It's still there. It's still valid, but it's not in where I like to play. And let's see. We got a lot of comments because I was prattling for a bit. Thanks for the knife suggestions after last week. I've been looking into some knife styles. Kitty. These come in a variety of colors and a variety of styles. They're by CRKT. You can wear it around your neck. That way you don't have to fish it out of your pocket. You are endowed enough that you can fairly well conceal it as essentially a bodice knife and people wouldn't even notice. Drawing these, people want it to think it's complicated. First off, this is good retention. Squeeze. I do this because I watched professional knife guys, people who sell knives, jerk and do these dramatic, look, flick. It's the backwards motion of lighting an old Bic lighter. That much effort. These are wonderful for people with smaller hands because you lock in. If you have grip issues, if you have nerve issues, I love these because the finger grooves lock it in and it doesn't slide. The jimping on the back, let me see if I can get to focus. Provide. Now, there are different blade styles. I have several. Um, this is, of course, my favorite because my wife gave it to me. Are are wonderful. There are a couple that are slightly longer that you can get or geared towards larger hands. I will sing the praises of a neck knife till the day I die because you don't have to worry about fumbling a folder or deploying it. It's just there. And you can get it out very easily from a okay, I don't want let me move this for a second. I don't want any trouble. I don't want any trouble. And the knife is out. Now I fumbled it a little bit, but I still got the knife out. That's because I haven't been drilling in that enough. I am bugging CRKT to make a trainer version of the Minimalist. This is a CRKT Minimalist by Fultz. It's a Fultz design. Fultz makes some of the best ergonomics. Can I get this to go? Now, mine is discolored because this was a beautiful painted one that had Cthulhu. It was literally a Cthulhu homage, had tentacles and stuff, and I used it till the paint wore off. I like it because it glows in the dark. So when the power goes out, I can see my knife, which is on the same thing. I can run my hand up, find my glasses where they hang on the wall, right on the other side of my bedstand. I think that way. If I drop it, there's a better chance of me finding it than my black one, as I found because I set it down, lost it for a year and a half, and found it in the garden, dug it back up, and had some rust spots. The only reason I didn't switch back to it is by then my wife had bought me this, and I like it. It also looks less problematic. Silver Ogre says, "Don't mess around with a lady trained in knife fighting." And I make sure every lady I know who's willing is trained in knife fighting. Break the walls down. Yes. Johnny's a music appreciator as well as an incredible artist. Please follow him at JP7 on Twitter. Let's see. I have a comment dump. There we go. Excellent. Distressa can switch from offensive to defensive with a single step and twist. Very fast. That's why I found it more effective to dual wield. Absolutely. I love Spanish, which distresses Spanish sword fighting because it's upright, it's very natural, it is defense via intimidation, and it is subtle. It works very well for a smaller person. You'll see that's why I like my main gouge because I use a very simple approach to dagger. Maestro Ramirez on via Pulpable Hit Productions has amazing DVDs, and I will be replacing my set at some point because they were lost in one of the multiple disasters that befell me. And I also heard that there's a third volume, and that is very tempting. Stab them in the knee. Nope. Okay. Giant Fighting 101. You don't stab them in the knee. Unless you're behind them. Then that's fine. Remember the dwarven saying. Hammer to the front of the knee. Axe to the back of the knee. Think about it. You have the patella is a solid bone. Striking the patella with an edged weapon is a little dicey with the stabbity stab. But now, if you're by the knees, you go up at an angle to the inside, you hit the femoral, that's a whole different ballpark. That's a game ender. Bam, up. That shot up for the knees to the femoral, you get that lovely artery on the inside. That could be an anime insta-kill because you hit that artery well enough, and the blood pressure just ends it. That's brutal, but it's honest. And the walls came tumbling down. Yes. Oh. I used to be an adventurer like you. Thunk. Ah! Yeah. I love that. Suddenly wounded knee sounds like a wedding venue. Yes, actually, I see the point. the phrase "I took an arrow to the knee," when you think about how a man proposes, he drops down on one knee. So it is a bit of a parody, a lark at the act of a standing man dropping down on one knee to offer a ring to his beloved. What a wonderful cultural piece we've held on to. Yep, CRKT minimalist is what you're going to want to go for small-handed knives. They also made my favorite big knife ever that the trainer is around here somewhere, but they discontinued it, and I kind of cry regularly because I would love to have one of those. And it's the least normally nick knife ever, but danged if my buddy Steve didn't get me hooked on that. I like unorthodox weapons like wrenches, pliers, giant plastic bananas. I am a student of the Jackie Chan improvised weaponry approach. That's why I have broken down the weapons. I've broken down, and when I do emergency self defense or how to arm yourself when you're not technically armed, we break down the objects around us into their simplest, most applicable use. Um, for example, this is my happy little mechanical pencil. I love this kind. The real ones are rather expensive, and that's kind of silly, but Walmart, at least for a while, made a nice knife knockoff. This is clearly a short thrusting weapon. I mean, in self defense, you can get one or two devastating puncture wounds out of that. A heavier marker. Where did that thing go? It died. I may have thrown it away. I have to go to the dollar store. Here it is. Bing. This is a job permanent marker. I actually used it to death. I got bored and made it pretty because I do things like that. For anybody who's looked at Coupetons and has learned to use these as pressure and force adapters, these things work very well for that, and they only cost $1. And you can carry one of these everywhere, including into a courthouse or whatever. I walk with an unmodified carbon fiber cane just about everywhere I go when I leave the house. So I'm pretty comfortable for emergency defensive melee type tools. But looking at that, you start to realize anything that's got a handle and a weight is either a hammer or an axe. All your knives are going to move like knives, but by picking it up, you feel the point of balance. The point of balance is something you start to detect the more you do this. And that will tell you a lot about the weapon. Like, for example, one of my favorite knives of all time, oddly enough, is this. This is an Air Force model K-bar. It's a mini K-bar. However, it is incredibly pommel heavy. The point of balance is like the middle of the grip. So it is very light and very agile. How the grip is a little big even for my hands, but I do love this. And this is a very this is a literal survival knife. This was my pencil sharpener, and the graphite took off the stain, so you can see that the lines from this being my pencil sharpener through some colorful periods of my time in college. Because I would go hiking and I would use this knife when I did landscapes and stuff. I also found that this was a deterrent. This is before I fell in love with neck knives. Now, this is my bread and butter. Let's see. I've lost a bit of I lost track of where we were. Okay. Now I am seeing bards running around weddings singing Skyrim songs. If you've been to any medieval weddings lately, you're going to see that. Ooh, I know someone who would really appreciate a Cthulhu self-defense tool. Yeah, this version is gorgeous, and I just used the paint off of it. I have no regrets. Like I said, it glows in the dark. There's a blue version with a different pattern on it. They should all be sub 50, right around the $25 to $35 range. You can find the black spear point at Menards for like $25. I actually have one in package in case of an emergency where I lose this one, so that I can have one I can pop out, and that is literally for the I get antsy if I don't have this. Giant Cave says stab them in the woobies, smash the hammer to the woobies. Great thing about woobies, everything works on them. There's a lot of validity, but be careful for open-handed, because open-handed attacks to the balls and even melee-based attacks to the balls don't always stop your opponents. I have known and witnessed several gentlemen whose response to taking a baseball bat to the effective groinal region was to get bright red, have their eyes kind of roll back for a second, and go full berserker. It also, if you strike someone in the woobies, you have to understand you are saying all bets are off. That's like an eye gouge. So you better be ready for that level of response if it doesn't put them down. Best part about the arrow to the knee line was it was supposed to be a random throwaway line, but it's one of the most iconic from Skyrim. Yes, it is. Toss a coin to your Twitcher. That's right, folks. If you have a Twitch, support it. I don't have a lot of the commercials I have for Nevermind the Furthermore don't really port perfectly over to this show, so I may have to do something about that. Me and my pals wrote a superhero anime sort of story where one guy we dual wields rubber chickens. I love that on levels I can't begin to describe, because I grew up watching Svengoolie on first Channel 32 and then Channel 26. And I will always have love for... ooh, that's nice. PayPal just paid me, so thank you guys for all the help. And I just got the notice that I am streaming. Means I'm about an hour in. That tells me, because I promote so much, Facebook is delaying the notifications of my streams. I know The Witcher's not set in Skyrim, but does have a bard. True. And I would love to see the crossover. It would be interesting. The bard in The Witcher is 100 times better than any bard in Skyrim, Ogre. You make a valid point, although there are some mods I would disagree with a bit, and that's just because of love for Recorder. The bard, not the instrument. I almost said implement. But I know Thesis is twitchy without his sword, which makes walking with him at night interesting. That's why get a good walking stick, Thesis. You now have a medical reason to have needed it. If you don't need it, I don't go on a hike without a stout stick. That's another useful trick. Use the pain inflicted and transfer it as fighting energy. There are enough historical accounts of people who, because of the adrenaline, have lost limbs and kept fighting because the adrenaline kept their capillaries constricted. And only when they calmed down from exhaustion or the battle being over did the capillaries open back up and then immediately bleed out. That's not even really getting into berserkers. Yeah, that bard gets him in so much trouble. See you later, Horker hater. Cough, cough, sword cane. Now, sword canes are interesting because you have to be very, very careful about which state and what your local laws are on sword canes, as sword canes count as a concealed / disguised weapon. And there are many places where you can have a gun more legally easily than a sword cane. So check with your local laws. I am not a lawyer, nor am I a medical professional. I am just trying to be a reasonable person. But if you can do it with a sword, you can do it with a stout piece of hickory. And as Clint Eastwood said, there's nothing like a good piece of hickory. But I support sword canes. Personally, I support sword canes enough. I spoke with the mayor of Michigan, not the mayor, the chief of police of Michigan City, and asked him about the legality of sword canes. And then when he saw me at a function, he had to ask, "Is that one of your sword canes?" I said, "No, sir. I wouldn't come to a police function with the sword cane. I wouldn't want to make anybody uncomfortable." Thus, my coughing. Absolutely. Now, I say that completely, uh, completely, not tongue in cheek, but I have my political beliefs on the Second Amendment. And while I will deign that there is a place for discussion on some of the firearms, even if I disagree with it, I will never agree that any law that prevents edge weapons is not unconstitutional. Because I truly believe that that was the intention of our founding fathers. I now disavow myself. Of course. Flashbacks to Shiryu gouging his own eyes out to kill the Medusa Knight and save his friends. Yeah. Zatoichi style Shirasawa. Saya. Oh, Shirasawa. Shirasaya. There we go. I had to be mad enough to get past my speech impediment. Enough said. I am a big fan of train. When you're in a safe environment with the right people, don't be afraid to train blindfolded. There's a Nerf version of it going around called the Quiet Place game. I've been known to say, okay, we're on a field, everybody be quiet. We're going to be nice about this. And we'll blindfold up with safe, usually extra safe, so padded weapons. And just to see how your body will tell you. Because it is possible to an extent to detect, and I don't know, detect murderous intent. It's there. It's weird. We have more senses than those we account for. Also, chemical warfare, eating lots of spicy cabbage before confrontation. I don't think I'd want to go there. That's referred to as the Trimerian breath weapon, because there was a battle with the Kingdom of Trimeris where apparently a lot of the fighters had drunk too much before the battle, and it only took one stout blow to the belly to start the first one becoming sick, and a chain event drove back the opposing force. This is SCA lore badly told, but whatever works for you. Being blind is interesting. It is terrifying and interesting. Thesis, that's your cue. Yep, Johnny, that's Thesis's cue. But will he bite? No. I need. There it is. One of my favorite training methods was called the Echo game. You blindfold your student and have them stand in the corner with different things while you tap them with a stick. I actually trained. I actually trained an individual who was legally blind and degrading, tragically. And what we had was a system of bells on the ends of the. I had to wear a bell on the end of my rapier. I had one attached and a bell attached center mass on me of a obvious different tone. And between that and footwork and things, listening to the environment, we were able to teach him to fence fairly proficiently. It is tragic that being at the time we were a college group, being a college group, you have a lot of turnover, and it's tragic that he stopped training with us. But it worked really well, and I hope he's doing well. Long Drang's Pirate Slayers actually have a toxic belch in Warhammer. That wouldn't surprise me. Now I'm thinking of the Farting Wars Japanese scrolls, but first. Wow. Okay. Whoops. They also have to strike the item you hit. Yes. Happened to be once from a medicine that I was taking for a week. I couldn't see. That's horrific. I am an artist and a gamer and a game designer. Loss of sight. I have gone deaf for periods of time, functionally, and I do have moderate hearing loss in certain ranges. But going blind would be an absolute nightmare for me. Happened to mom. Doc said she could bleed her eyes out and lose them at any moment, so went to the surgery room. Okay, hold on. Happened to mom. Doc said she could bleed her eyes out and lose it all at any moment, so to the surgery room she went. Wow. I am so sorry to hear that. They are developing better technology with like Elon Musk's sweatwear plant and the different implants to possibly restore sight to blind people. And that's where I think we as technology should be going. Echo Game is interesting for sure. Absolutely. It was messed up that the medicine for I was too messed up from that medicine for it to bother me much at the time. I can understand that. But it is good to train and practice moving around in the dark. I have a phobia of the dark, a rather pronounced phobia of the dark, for reasons I care not to air on this channel right now. But suffice it to say, I've worked very hard to be better about it. But I do not find the true dark, like pitch black, to be a very comfortable place at all. I can deal with it, but it is not something I like. So I'm just sorry you had to go through that. Oh, she's fine now, but the lenses of her glasses could stop a dang bullet. Those things are thick. Both my mom and my wife have glasses of similar quality. Uh, yeah, they're tremendous. Says something about the two people who tried to say I'm handsome are both borderline legally blind. Anyway, uh, that was terrible. I should have said that. Honestly, I found it rather relaxing, odd as it may be to say. And well, if you think about the amount of raw brain power that humans have running towards visual processing, constantly color identification things, once you get past the gulf of not having that, it would free up a lot of raw processing power, I would think, and probably feel calm. I'm better in natural darkness, but light sources kill the night vision. That's true too. I have. I'm very. I can function in the dark better than I should. I have extremely light sensitive eyes, so it doesn't take much. I also have a ridiculous motion acuity, where even in near pitch black, I can see something if it moves. I think I had so much going on at the time that my sudden lack of one form of stimulation was nice. I can see how that would be. It would certainly calm the ADD a bit, at least for me. But wow, that hour went fast. Well, folks, it's 9 o'clock. I expect to be a bit more on topic next week. Today just went insane. And if you guys don't mind the fan blowing, which no one's complained about the noise, this does make things a lot better. And hopefully next week it will either not be so hot or I'll have the fans set up earlier. I had to have Amanda acquire a extension cord. So thank you. If you want to support what we do and training and reviewing gear, and we're going to get back into that, uh, please become a member of the Historical Fencing Guild Patreon for as little as $1 a month. That helps me keep the lights on, afford to buy gear and sewing machines, and trainers and other things. Thank you. You guys can't hear the fan. Wonderful. Uh, if you want to tip directly, remember you can at paypal.me/Nicholas Stockert. And I literally, during the stream, got notification that Patreon sent me the money to PayPal. So I will be able to have that, which will help out with some of the purchases that I will be making probably tomorrow. We hope through Joe Bachman to get the footage of the upcoming demo. I really owe you guys more footage than I've been able to put out while I've been dealing with all of this and the heat and everything else. But, I've got more comments. Can hear it, don't care, not that big a deal. Thank you. And it will be there while I, work in here. But thank you so much for your support, guys. I do a lot, and sometimes it's a little tiring. And I do on my other show. I do. Oi, the autocorrect has been strong tonight. Absolutely, but I do a lot, and it sometimes can feel like I'm out here just pushing and not getting back. And then I hit this show and I relax into it. And my chat, and if you're watching the show, please always have the chat running because the chat is just vastly interesting people. Thank you so much for your support and just for being there so we can talk and have these conversations. I'm so happy that some of my local guild members like Joe Bachman and Trelena Bachman and Richie Asplund and such can show up to the show and chat because it was originally meant to be a support for them during the pandemic, but it's grown so much and I get to meet wonderful people and support them, and we all got to work together. Okay, folks. Always happy to help. Thank you. So with that all being said, I'm going to go through my usual litany. And I'm going to say, folks, do your drills. I've been doing mine. Some new material on drilling is coming soon. Keep your guard up, not just on the list field, guys. The world is getting kind of scary, and as temperatures literally rise, people get hot under the collar. Keep your eyes open. And importantly, with everything that's going on, as things shift around, be kind to each other. And be kind to yourselves. It's not easy. And support your local swordmaster. I will see you next week right here for another episode of the Historical Fencing Guild Livestream. Have a blessed night, folks.